were chasing some bandits, and we chased them in this area, and there was these caves, and they were rather highly infested with aliens, and what they called a silver wing. They didn't know what like. All that was around were very primitive aircraft, and of course there was balloons, and that was about it. 1909 was pretty far back in time. Anyway, the alien agenda means, as far as anything goes, as far as the government is concerned, it is the worst scenario they could ever face. Because it involves not only having to tell the public major lies and innuendo all the time, and keeping the public out of their face. Slowly it's breaking down, and I'm helping do that because I remember my forefather of this country, George Washington, one time saying, "An uninformed populace is a populace devoted to slavery." And so one must consider that if we become uninformed and we ourselves have to take up battle against this kind of a scourge, if we're uninformed, then we're defeated already. So I'm not here to panic anybody or start a panic, but I feel that by lying to the American public, this is not the American way. And we need to do something about that. As a matter of fact, as I'm talking, we need to also be talking and doing our homework regarding that. And there's a lot of people who say, well, I don't have the time. You can take 20 minutes a day, can't you? And we can go from there. You'd be surprised what word of mouth does after you found out one little truth, another, and pretty soon it becomes a snowball. But back to the alien agenda. Throughout the almost half of the deep underground military bases in the United States, the 62 of them, of the 131, actually the 129, they're fully operational, the other two are under construction. 62 of these bases are housing both the tall gray as well as the short gray alien, and all of their craft, and of course our government, especially the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. Navy predominantly, are trying to break this their technology down into usable technology for our own self. Case in point is this particular scenario. The F-117A, the B-2 bomber, maybe the Aurora, although that's not an accurate rendition of what it looks like. The airframes are predominantly made of alien metals beyond element 109, and metal composites, some of the skins of which are composed of rubber and carbon fiber, and the airframes are composed of complex carbon fibers mixed with elements such as marinite, which is element 123, which is extremely stable.
Be seen right there.
I just kind of slapped this together. It's not quite as professionally done as these, but this was in Saudi Arabia. But at that time they had 58 of these. This was half the fleet. And I'll give you a few statistics that these aircraft do. First of all, it's got a radar absorbing material. That's the coal black coating. It's a type of and in a while I'll get out some alien artifacts for you, some metals and some of the doping or painting that drips off of this when the aircraft is heated up to a white hot condition. And anyway, these are specially hangared. They have to be kept cool. They have to be kept at a temperature of 60 degrees roughly when they're not moving. There's faceting on the edges. Faceting is a scalenohedral crystalline form. It's a crystalline form that predominantly does not occur on planet Earth. and it is once again alien technology that has been adapted to Earth type or terrestrial type technology. These ideas were first thought of in Soviet Russia, and later they were adapted. They couldn't use that particular kind of thing in the early 70s, and so one of their scientists defected, came over here and started to work immediately with Lockheed. His name was Subakov, I believe was his name. Anatoly Alexei Subakov. This fellow was also a pioneer and such. His name was Paul Benowitz. He was going to go public with the UFO and the alien agenda thing. He was a CIA pilot. He was also with the U.S. Air Force. Of course, they couldn't let that happen, so they stuffed him in the trunk of a car one night, took him off to a mental institution, and made him into a mental vegetable. He can't even write his own name today. If it wasn't for a brother who spent $1 million and a sister looking for him, he'd probably still been rotting away in some institution somewhere. Okay. What we've got here, like I mentioned, is basic alien technology. It was adapted for us. Paul Benowitz, once again, he developed the shape of this aircraft, as well as how the bombs were to be dropped. He was also into other projects through Los Alamos. This is in Saudi Arabia, and I'll tell you a few statistics about this during the Gulf War.
Would you like to borrow this?
No, sure. Thank you. During the Gulf War, this particular aircraft had 4 large bombs underneath. They were called smart bombs, cruise missiles, and also rockets and machine gun fire, Vulcan cannon style, but even more advanced than that. I don't really know quite about that. There was one pilot that sat in here. He literally had to be crammed in, actually right up in here. They had to literally wedge him in there, and took a certain weight and size of individual in this aircraft. And all the Computronics was made by Mitsubishi Computronics and Heavy Electric Industries. The jets were both turbine as well as nuclear powered for extremely high flight. By the way, the smart bombs that were used in the Gulf War, 58 aircraft ran 3,706 sorties or missions. 100% of the bombs hit the target. 100% of the rockets hit the target. Shot up, completely destroyed the Iraqi air defense systems. It was a 100% system. Only one aircraft suffered one small hit, or actually where a missile just barely missed it, and it just chipped out part of that, but the aircraft was able to make it home. It was a minor repair. The aircraft's back in service. But anyway, now there's some 179 of these built. They're building about one every other month, thereabout. They're a $208 million aircraft, while this one here is about a $188 million aircraft, and it's fraught with problems. Although recently, the F-117A, Black Jet as they're known as, originally housed at Nellis Air Force Base, Tonopah Test Range, S4, Groom Lake, you name it. These aircraft employed a 3-dimensional radar. Everybody else's radar was 2-dimensional. The Black Jets employed a 3-dimensional radar, which was far superior. And its Computronics 2 also had a Cray system, analyze bombing targets, and it was also the first aircraft where the pilot wore a helmet. It's called psychoenergetic range finding. It's a copy from the Russian technology, Soviet-Russian technology, where a pilot can think in his own language and arm his weapons and pick his target from his computer. It's still employed in a second and third generation. It's extremely accurate. It cannot be faked. In other words, if another pilot decides to commit sabotage and jump in the cockpit, the plane won't even begin to run, let alone any of the missiles firing or anything else. So it's kind of a unique system. It's kind of like the signature gun. And of course, we've heard about those in different movies and whatnot. Now we have the Aurora, which is a trans-atmospheric vehicle. And the Aurora, there's 4 of them currently being tested. I know it's being refuted too by a couple of local gum shows before my lecture. He says, well, the Aurora doesn't exist, Phil, you know that. I said, well, really? I says, well, I guess you don't think this exists either. And that was a picture, that was this map. He said, no, that doesn't exist either. And I said, really? Interesting. Okay. I suggest you have a seat and learn something.
But they have one surpassing the Aurora now.
Yes, there are 2 other prototypes that are small space shuttles capable of speeds in excess of 40,000 miles an hour. And plus, we also employ 29 prototypes of flying saucer and are successful in piloting those at up to 90,000 miles an hour in the atmosphere without burning up. That's doing something, because when you push, you go beyond Mach 3, actually beyond Mach 2.7, you ionize the air around it, and you cause the elements of the air to actually catch fire, and you need a force field around that system to exceed Mach 3 or Mach 4 without burning up, because you'll be as hot as a glowing meteorite coming in at about 30 or 40,000 degrees. Anyway, the Aurora, there's 4 of them flying. They fly day and night. They have 12 people as a crew. They can have a skeleton crew of as few as 6. They can basically leave Tonopah Test Range at 7 o'clock in the morning, do a complete loop around Russia and China, take all the pictures. They're predominantly a spy plane. They can take pictures, come back for lunch. That's how rapid it is. They attain from basically zero. Once again, this aircraft, and this aircraft are anti-lifting bodies. They are not conventional winged aircraft. A flying saucer theoretically is a circular wing. These are not. These are anti-lifting bodies. In other words, it takes an incredible amount of speed before they're able to take off. This is all, once again, this is all part of the one world government type system. I try to stay away from the political end, but it's kind of like the one world government system. Take over the planet, and hopefully we don't have to tell the people of the planet what the alien agenda is. The alien agenda is what probably never meant, the aliens never meant that we were going to alter the bargain, but the aliens were the ones back in 1954 who cut a treaty with us saying that, well, we'll give you a list of the people that we implant and the cattle we mutilate, and we'll give you the reason why and everything. Of course, that never happened. And they kept altering the bargain until finally in 1979, in Dulce, New Mexico, I was involved